OPM 2000, my online section. How are you doing? Welcome to week three. Yes, week three. We're almost getting to being done with our first month in this course. This is just flying by, isn't it? Just a couple quick things to remind you. Your professor, being me, Dr. Brian Gagnon, I am really huge on APA 7 for citations and references. When you post your discussions or when you submit an assignment, anytime you make a claim or present information or material that you learn from a source, you are required to provide an APA 7 citation and an APA 7 reference. Every reference must have a citation, a corresponding citation in the body of your work. And different sources are formatted differently in APA 7. Now, you don't have to worry because there's plenty of resources available for you out there on how to be able to format this. One, the Cleary University Library has got the Writing and APA page. Go there. There's two drop-down menus that give you step-by-step instructions. If it's a YouTube video you're citing and referencing, or a journal article, or a book, the information is there. If it's a source that's not included on that page, go to apastyle.org or the Purdue OWL, and you can find step-by-step instructions there as well. We're not going to have any more discussions or assignments without APA 7 citations or references, are we? Because you lost points last week on it. Many of you did. This next week, you'll lose even more points on it. Eventually, this could become a plagiarism issue. We don't need that to happen, do we? I didn't think so. All right, so this week, what are we talking about this week? We're going to talk about ideation, the creation, the development of new ideas. We're getting into the meat and potatoes of innovation here. Innovation requires a couple things. One, that we no longer hold to or cling on to the old way of doing things. Now, we learn lessons when we look back at the old ways of doing things, but the solutions worked at that time period, but they're not necessarily going to work now because there's a multitude of variables and factors affecting every moment of your existence, and they change continually. So the factors impacting a moment 5 years ago when a decision was made and a new approach, an innovative idea was developed, it may have worked then, but now we got this different set of factors and variables impacting us. So we got to learn the lesson from the past and then let it go. Just let go of it. It's called the status quo. We let it go and we allow this moment. It's going to feel weird because it's full of chaos and it brings uncertainty. And a human being, we do not like the feeling of uncertainty. Most people, when they feel uncertainty, they cling on to the old status quo. That's how come we always wind up on the cycle of repetition. And also why we keep making the same mistakes over and over. What we need to do is let go of that status quo, that past way of doing things. Embrace the uncertainty and the chaos. Allow for a new, innovative idea to emerge now. I use this example in the classroom. If there's a species of bird and a couple of the birds wind up on an island and they're separated from the rest of their flock, but their beak is designed to get insects out of the wood on certain types of trees that are indigenous to the normal habitat. Well, on this island, it's full of rocks and their beak isn't working. They're not as effective in getting the bugs, the nutrition, the nutrients that they need. So what happens is over time and over a few generations, a new feature emerges. Their beaks may become shorter and not so sharp, but more blunt. So they're better enabled to get the food that they need. Well, the same thing is true when we talk about human beings and ideas. Ideas emerge, and they emerge out of these moments of uncertainty and chaos. That's why we need to embrace that. Now, for innovation to really to occur, we have to promote creativity. Creativity is the very fuel of innovation. And normally, a new innovation is not the product of one individual locked in a room. It's usually the product of many people making mistakes over a period of time, the same as that bird's beak changing shape. It requires many generations of that species and slight genetic changes to that beak. The same is true with birds' plumage. When a bird is in one area, it needs camouflage to protect it from predators. When it winds up in another foreign environment, its camouflage doesn't work. So over a few generations, their camouflage changes. And it's a gradual, subtle thing. The same thing is true with innovation. It happens normally subtly. And if you were listening, it often happens because of mistakes. People make mistakes, and those mistakes then turn out to be new technologies that we're able to incorporate into our new technology. So, encourage mistakes. It also helps people so they don't self-censor. When you're looking to innovate, you want new ideas, you want creative ideas, but you can't get there if you make people feel silly for their absurd ideas. Absurd ideas are only absurd on the table. Once we really look at them, an absurd idea might have a seed, a kernel of truth that we then can shape and mold into something better. We might be able to use it to come up with a new idea, a new approach, a new product. So we don't want to reject things, and we don't want to cause people to self-censor, to close themselves off from the rest of the group. We don't want them feeling that they have to engage in what's known as consensus, just agreeing with the majority. No. If I'm in charge of a idea creation session, I want people to speak their minds. I want people to say this. I want them to have that freedom to be able to give their input to me. As a leader, I want to foster that. So this week, you do have an e-learning on design thinking. You are going to need to do that. If you don't do that, it will show in your work this week. So make sure that you do it. It's not graded, but it gives you information that you need. You also have an article on design thinking, and you've got a couple of videos, a number of videos to watch. Make sure you watch them. And when you use information from these sources, reference and cite it. And you can reference and cite a YouTube video, and it's on that Clear University Libraries page. It's right there, step-by-step instructions. So in other words, there's no excuse. I should see everybody this week turning in their discussions and their assignment and their capstone milestone with good quality APA 7 citations and references. Now, papers have got to be formatted more than just the citations and references. And I covered this in the video in week 1 on APA 7 and academic writing. If you still haven't watched it, you need to. Otherwise, you're not going to get good grades in my course. I give you the information. I gave it to you in week 1. Avail yourself to it and use it. Just don't watch it. Make sure you use it. An academic paper is formatted with a cover page and a reference page. The cover page is at the beginning, the reference page is at the end. These 2 pages do not count to the total of your paper. So if your instructions say to write a 5-page paper, you've got the cover page at the front, the reference page at the back, plus the 5 pages in the middle. So technically it's a 7-page paper then, because your cover page and reference page don't count. But there's an easy way to take care of all that, because APA 7 says how big your margins are supposed to be and the font and this and that. You don't have to go do it all, set all this, everything on your computer yourself manually. On that same page at the library, the writing and APA page, you'll see towards the top 2 papers. One is a student template. The other is an example paper. You can use that example paper to get an idea of what your paper should look like. You can use the template. When I was in college, I would always download the templates, and I would use that. If I had to write a paper, I'd open up a template, and I would just start working on the template because everything was already set. So APA 7 for the general formatting of a paper, use the template, problem solved. APA 7 for citations and references, simple. Use the Clear University website. Use the drop-down menus. If you've got a source that's not covered on there, no problem. Go to apastyle.org And the neat thing about them, they actually write the book, APA 7 publication manual. So it's quality information. Or you can use the Purdue OWL. And a last resort is you can get a hold of me, but I'm going to ask you if you've looked in these other references first, because I want you, as the student that's learning from me, to avail yourself to what's provided. Watch the video I posted. Use the references I provide you. You can do this. All right. You have a great week. I'll see you in the discussions and on your paper. You've got your discussion. Initial post is due Wednesday, and you must reply to at least 2 students every week by Sunday. If you don't, that's 5 points you're losing every week. And that over 16 weeks can account to a good letter grade. So if you want to go from an A to a B, or from a B to a C, or worse yet, a C to a D, then just don't reply. But if you want to succeed in this class, reply, because those replies, they're worth about a letter grade. All right. You have a great week, and send me an email if you have any questions, comments, or concerns.